really, really excited to be able to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, and that is our industry. So all of you, all of us, really should be a part of this industry, because I tell people all the time, if you're not part of your industry's trade association, then you're missing out. So we are the Association for Automation, A3 for short, but you may be more familiar with all the daughter associations. RIA, which Dan is a proud member of, AIA, Association for Advancing Automation, MCMA, the motion guys, and then ATI Mexico. So when we started moving forward with those different groups, we started talking to people, well, I'm not just robots, I'm not just vision. So we realized that it's almost impossible now to do any type of system that doesn't combine all those technologies. So in about a year, you'll actually have the opportunity to join A3 or join the Association for Automation and then be segmented into those different daughter groups. So why join your industry's trade association? Just to have the opportunity to connect, learn about emerging technologies, business opportunities, new markets, to educate, workforce development, certifications and standards like Dan was talking about, and customer education. And our industry has become quite the advocate. Now that we are 1,200 some members strong as the Association for Automation, Jeff Bernstein, our president out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, has been invited to Washington to really talk about things from our perspective, automation, robots, and that robots do not take jobs. And then to lead, providing market reports, industry statistics, and thought leadership. So some of the key activities within RIA are getting people involved. This year we set a new membership record, and we just want to make sure that people understand that if you want to have a voice, this is where you can have a voice. Even if you're the smallest integrator out there, your voice is welcomed and heard. We're now involved with people that are what are called robotic clusters. So there's a group in Massachusetts, there's a group in Pittsburgh, but we're bringing all these people together. The ARM Institute out of Pittsburgh, Advanced Robotics Manufacturing. But then what Dan was talking about, and one thing that's really special to me because it kind of started under my tenure as a RIA chairperson, I didn't start it, but at that time we had a lot of integrators coming to us and say, or coming to the RIA membership and said, hey, I'm having a big problem because I think I do a good job, but this guy down the street is quoting 1/10 of my price. And how do I get people to understand that they're not apples to apples? So we polled and formed focus groups of integrators and end users and asked them, okay, what could RIA do for you? And to a person they said, as an integrator, they said, I want to have an opportunity to differentiate myself. If I'm doing a good job, give me a stamp that says I'm better than all these other guys out there. Well, the end users are saying the same thing. How do I know that the person I'm choosing, putting my trust in to do this job, is somebody that's competent? So the integrator certification program now is expanded to 32 integrators. You think about all the integrators in North America, only 37 of them are RA certified. So right now, Robotics Online, which is a website for the RA, is the most hit site anywhere in the world for information on robotics and automation. If I was an integrator, I would sure want my name to be on that list. So what do they do when they certify? Can anybody just say, I want to get certified, and they come in and they do an assessment and answer is no. You have to be able to distribute or exhibit that you can show these core competencies that are important to success. So if you look at that kind of sentence right there, I can't read it on my phrase, but it's become an important confirmation of an organization's expertise in robotics. And what else is better than for somebody just without even knowing about you to already know that you have that stamp of approval from our industry's trade association. You can go online and see how you're going to rank before you even take the test. And then once you feel like you're ready for certification, you can contact the Robotics Industries Association. They'll send in an assessor, and he will work with your people to see if you actually do demonstrate those core competencies, and you can become RA certified. Dan mentioned that RA is also very heavily involved in standards, and why not? You know, we're the people that are using and integrating the robot, so why wouldn't we want to be involved in the standards? You know, I've known and worked with some integrators with our products that say, oh, you know, we never even think about doing a risk assessment. That's just like, you know, wasted time. Well, if your integrator is not performing a risk assessment on the system that they're installing for you, like Dan said, your robot may become something that just sits and gathers dust. So R15-1506, R1508, working now on a new standard for collaborative robots, because of course it's going to be different than your industrial ones, but really also an opportunity to be involved on that front. So our foundation standard is through safety requirements for industrial robots and robotic systems, something you definitely want to be involved with. And to this end, we're working with OSHA, NIOSH, and RA Alliance. So OSHA, NIOSH, and RA work together to make sure that the systems that we provide are safe, but even more so that you're educating people to the importance of that and practicing best practices when you integrate a robotic system. So how do you learn about things in our industry? What you do now is that you either attend or you exhibit at our industry's new trade show, Automate. About 8 years ago, our industry's primary trade show, where we all went to display our wares, was dying. It was Robots in Vision. It was in Rosemont in Chicago. The robot guy said, we're not going to that show because all I do is show all my stuff to my competitor. And to the point that the very last Robot in Vision show, one robot company showed up, refused to take their robots off the pallets and just park those in their booth because they felt like the show was completely worthless. So we're like, as a group, and this was under my tenure as RA chair, how do we reinvent ourselves? So we came up with Automate. And Automate is patterned very much after Automatica in Europe, and it's a solutions-based show. You have, last year, every year we've grown about 40%. Last year, over 20,000 total attendees, 1,000 conference attendees, and it is the place where people come if they want to learn anything about our industry. I'm excited because in May of 2021, we're moving back to our roots, which is Automate in Detroit. And people might say, oh, you know, why go back to Detroit because it's just automotive. If you look at what's going on in the Midwest, you know it's not just automotive. So the exciting thing about this show is that when we polled people when they're leaving the show, we found that 70% of the attendees plan to purchase a robotic system within a year. Most people said that it's the only show that they go to. They've never been to any shows ever. So it's really an exciting place to be. You have an opportunity to get involved. We had outgrown our place as a co-exhibitor with ProMat in Chicago McCormick. So now we're a standalone show for 3 days, which is back to our root. May of 2021, check it out on the website. And if you're not able to participate, not able to exhibit, at least attend the show, because I think after you attend it, you're probably going to want to participate in the future. Meeting new customers. You know, how many of us can have those dedicated people looking for us all in one place? And again, what we did at our show to make it different is, you know, a lot of shows you go to is the big money companies, the big robot companies, or Siemens, or those huge companies. They've got all these big booths up in the front. So what we did at Automate was we put our integrators up front because we're really focused on solution. We know people are going to find the robot companies in the back, but we're going to put our bread and butter, our people that are actually building those systems in the front so that they're interested in being there because they don't want to get lost in some other show. So that is RIA A3 in a nutshell. I know Dan said any quick questions, but as you can see, this is an industry that I'm very passionate about. I've had the pleasure to work in this industry for over 25 years. My background was not engineering, but when I got involved in this group, I found that people were more than willing to talk my ear off to teach me everything I ever wanted to know about robots and integration. And it allowed me to become, I think, maybe the industry cheerleader. And so to lead this industry is probably the most exciting thing that was ever a part of my life. And like Dan said, last year I was awarded with the Engelberger Award for Leadership, which is the most humbling experience that's ever happened to me in my whole life. But I can't think of really very many industries where everyone is so welcoming. And I've seen Dan talk to all of you, and I've seen other people that are involved in this industry talking to each other. And people realize that it's not just selfish. If we talk and we grow this industry, we're growing it for all of us. So please consider checking out A3 RIA on the website. And if you're not involved in your industry's trade association, or if you're an integrator and you're not certified, please check that out, because I think it's going to be a game changer for everyone. Okay, that's that part. And I'll be happy to entertain any questions about that after everybody else talks. So my real job, when I'm not the industry's cheerleader and champion, is trying to sell things for ATI Industrial Automation. We, as Dan said, we're the accessories for robots. People sometimes joke and say we're the handbags or the shoes, but what we really are all the peripheral devices that allow a robot to be flexible. So if you've just got a robot and it don't have anything that can attach to the end of it, then you're pretty limited on what that robot can do. We've been around for almost 30 years. We're based out of North Carolina, Apex in particular. We have offices now in Michigan, China, Brazil, and Mexico, and have grown from 8 employees that started the company to over 350 employees worldwide, and have become recently an employee stock ownership ESOP. And so all the employees are definitely focused on making sure that the company is successful so that their stock values grow. So an end effector. Now, what is a robotic end effector? And basically it's just anything that attaches to the robot or the wrist. We are, as Dan said, what prides me about, makes my job really easy, is that we've got a lot of engineers. And so you can have a company and if you don't have the engineering support to support those products, then you're probably not going to be as successful as we are, because we really have engineering-based global development of all types of different end-of-arm tools. And we do make robots more flexible and more productive. So, like I said, it provides flexibility. You've got 2 sides on the tool changer, master and tool plate, pretty simple, but I'm always surprised when I go somewhere to a trade show and somebody says, "What? A robot can change its tool?" I'm like, yeah, duh. I mean, it seems pretty simple. But if you haven't seen it happen, then it is educational for some people. So people sometimes think, well, tool changers, that you guys are just changing out spot weld guns, but it's not just for automotive. We've done lots of things with all these different companies, some really exciting things with NASA and different aerospace companies, Foxconn, Apple, Google, Coke, just all these people are using our products for one reason or another. And then why ATI when you've got other tool changers out there? Not so many, as Dan said, these days, but because we've got so many different options and we can provide pretty much anything you want to pass from robot to tool. Sometimes I tell people that I think the other name of our company should be Modules R Us, because we pretty much got something to pass everything. And then all tool changers are modular. So you can mix and match, add and subtract, but we try to keep a very small package size. Right here you've got an 18-inch diameter with a spot welding gun, where you've got a servo module, a communication module, a fluid air module, and if you've seen some other, if you start to Google tool changers and look at different companies that are out there, you'll see that we're about, we're like a little kid contained inside their outer hub. And why is that important? Is so you have best reach with your robot, but also so that we minimize the weight that we add to the robot, giving you a lot more room to work on your applications. So a couple things I want to talk about, because I know that ARC has gotten involved in some different areas recently, is, like I said, we're not just automotive. So recently we were asked, well, maybe about 5 years ago, we were asked by a company, KUKA and Accuray, to develop a system with our tool changers to dispense radiation. So we're doing that with a different brand of tool changers. And as you can see, the kind of the common denominator is the way our tool changers couple, but everything else is a body that can do anything the customer asks us to do. And then this one is really cool that we just developed for the medical industry. It's a manual tool changer that allows the medical robot to change out the different tools that it's holding. So while tool changers have always been our bread and butter, that along with the force sensors, everybody knew ATI for tool changers and force sensors. Recently, we were approached by different robot companies, and 3M in particular, to say, like, how do we start to pursue a whole new market? You know, there's all these jobs out there that are dull, dirty, and dangerous, and why should people be doing those jobs? What about using a robot for material removal? You know, how would that improve things in the workplace? Well, think about it. The robot never takes a break, so you increase productivity. A robot doesn't have carpal tunnel syndrome, so you don't have those type of costs. So automating these processes increase productivity. They give you higher quality products because a robot is a whole lot more accurate than a human, and it's safer. You don't want a human in there doing these type of tasks that a robot can do for you. I was talking to somebody earlier, and we're talking about pretty much any job a robot can take from a human. If that robot can take that job from a human, you should let it, because that means that you can move the human on to something that uses a little bit more of their brain power and isn't dull, dirty, dangerous, heavy, drudgery, you know, something exciting. So why aren't people doing this? Why isn't everybody jumping on the bandwagon and say, yeah, let's get in there, let's pursue material removal? Well, you've got part variation, you've got fixturing, you've got a whole lot of complicated things that need to happen besides just having the robot bring this tool to the part. Some of those things are on the screen. So what's it going to take? You know, what needs to happen? And number one is, like, you've got to have somebody saying they want to do it. But sometimes people don't know what they want because they don't even know that it exists. And so what we're in the process now of doing, along with a lot of the robot companies and 3M, as they're the experts in this area, are trying to educate people that these jobs can be automated. And it takes a good integrator like Dan or some of the other integrators in the room to really figure it out, because all we do as 3M and Fanuc and KUKA and all the different robots in 3M is we provide a product. It takes magic that these integrators like Dan's company does to make everything work. So who are we going to approach? I mean, who is not doing material removal? I mean, pretty much every market that's out there is doing material removal in one respect or another. So we're going after all these different markets. And how do we do that? Matthew Dockstader is one of our application engineers. I'm going to let him come up and be kind of Vanna White with me here and answer any specific questions. But you know, since a robot is not quite so accurate, we've engineered compliance into these tools. So this engineered compliance allows our products to maintain constant contact with the parts during those finishing applications. It compensates for changes in a path. So you don't have to teach every part specifically. You can teach a couple points and then we're going to comply and follow that part. But this allows for really fast, safe, and easy programming of the robot. This kind of shows you some of the different products and why the compliance is important. So we're air-driven tools. We don't provide any type of feedback, but what we're able to provide is, because of that compliance, we can, the programming is accurate enough that we're just tracing the part. So we can't hold tolerances, we can't remove a specific amount of material with our air-driven tools, but we can pretty much remove a constant amount. But if your flash or burrs vary over the side, over the part, then we're only going to remove that constant amount, and maybe you find yourself making 2 passes. But this has given us the opportunity, with this compliance built into these tools, to really enable robot companies and integrators to attack a lot of things that historically have not been able to be automated. To that vein, we as ATI have developed a whole new material removal department. We have a material removal product manager, and all these products are new as of in the last year. This one on the top right is a axial sander, orbital sander, and uses a 3M media. Again, allows you to do some finishing instead of just the edge chamfering that we've done in the past. And all these different products we'll have out there and be able to show you afterwards. This is a really cool product that we developed. It's called a compliant deburring blade. And what they did was they went into the shops and saw people that were using a little device that I know people sometimes call a whirligig, and they're manually cleaning up this part. You know, this rubber bumper's coming out of the line. This guy is like slicing it here, he's turning it, slicing it here, he's slicing it here. And then that thing goes on and goes to the paint shop, and the guy in the shop was telling me, it's like, you know, we don't even know if this part is bad until after it goes to paint. And 40% of our stuff is scrap. I'm like, you know, how is that even acceptable in our world? And so again, if you can automate that with some type of tool like this, free up the person to do something besides standing there all day cutting that part. So again, ASTO compliance, lightweight, flexible. These are the new ones that are coming soon. So electric, I know people have been really after us to do something that's electric because they want to control the amount of material that they're removing, and maybe they don't have an air source. So where ATI even 2 years ago really didn't foresee ourselves as material removal experts, we've become experts really quickly. And what we found was that there's such a demand for these type of products that our product manager is hired to hire these really great engineers that are developing new products, testing new products. We have a service where we can actually test some parts in-house, but really just gives you the opportunity to think about things that maybe you haven't thought about before and think outside the box. So if there's a way to automate it, if there's a way that you can do it with a robot and with some type of tool, then that definitely is the way to go because, like I said, you're going to increase your productivity, you're going to increase your quality, and you're going to free up people to use their brains for things that are much more challenging than standing there running a grinder over a part all day. So that's, I probably did my whole thing in less than 20 minutes, but that leaves lots of time for the other speakers. But really appreciate the opportunity. You know, we're excited to have a relationship with Art Specialties. They're a great special integrator, even more special than I realized after spending some time here. And you're in good hands with them. But I know Dan appreciates them, we do too. Everybody that comes out to learn more about automation is making a step in the right direction. So thank you very much.